And it says we're live. It hadn't
Lies.
changed colors.
Yeah,
There it goes.
lies. If you would like to, well, hell, it's spring in Texas. It's currently freezing. If you want to donate to the Warm Jacket Fund, donate here. It's 41 degrees with a high 85.
Yeah.
If you like coffee, and I just broke into the very nice Ethiopian blend.
Yeah.
King Harv's Imperial Coffees, www.kingharv.com. Very good coffees. If you do order from them, be sure you let them know you heard about it from us. Smartass T-shirts, tinyurl.com, Among the Leaves Tees. Be sure he's a friend of ours. Let him know you heard about it from us. And my back is killing me.
Yeah. Yours, mine.
My back's doing pretty good today.
Shut up.
I need to have my hat reblocked. It is cattywampus all to hell.
It's
No,
ugly.
it's not your hat, it's the head.
Well, there is that, but the brim is definitely attuned to a more flat brim, and on one side it is way cranked
Yeah.
up.
Well,
I didn't realize.
you're just pretending you're just getting ready to go down under and visit Dave Freer, so you're getting the side pit up on the hat.
No, because half of what's on my body right now would get me felonies in Australia.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Tom, loved your quote recipe this morning.
Which Tom?
Rognaby.
Oh,
Throw everything in the mixer, blend it all up, throw some eggs over
loaf.
it. Yeah.
In the jail and prison system in Texas, that's called a loaf.
Yeah.
It's where they take the meal of the day, stick it in a blender, blend it, stick it in the oven, and then serve it as a loaf.
Yeah.
Because you have been bad.
Yeah. Sarah, I agree with Jesse. Buy extra. It's going to cost twice whatever you thought it was going to
No
cost.
kidding.
And especially the friggin' connectors.
And then you put the extra in the barn because you'll need them later.
Yeah. And especially with the friggin' sprinklers.
You should try to set up a drip irrigation system.
Now, it's apparently one that's already there that they're having to repair.
Buy twice what you think you need.
Yeah.
And plan on going back to the store at least once.
Tom Rita was giggling about your request for editorial assistance, by the way.
Speaking of editorial assistants,
And we're off down that track. Go ahead.
I told you I was going to talk about it. I get asked why I put snippets up.
Because you're a marketing genius.
Well, it goes back to, and I'm showing my age here, but it goes back to the firing line.
Yeah.
Remember when people would put things up?
Yeah.
And the comments would come in?
Mhm.
And how much stuff got changed because of that?
Oh, yeah. How much stuff got improved?
Yes.
And here I thought you were using the Bayan model. First taste is free.
That too.
Yeah. So I put up a short snippet from a short story that I'm working on. And I just want to read one of the comments that I got. And it's a noir detective type. Procedural sound about right. Agree with providing a couple more sentences for Scar, the character, for the backstory. Sounds like Patrick was first on the scene of the accident and may have saved his life. Ask the bouncer about people with a photo. They see all and may remember the noteworthy ones or something odd. As he's tracking Fletcher down, a grumble and a chief's epithet about his updating his phone list will get the duty NCO's attention. It's not normally information you give someone calling a blind number. That's true. But what it does a couple of things.
Helps you
One,
improve the thing.
if, when you're writing a short story, you only have 8,000 words, give or take, to get the story in. And when you have secondary characters, it becomes an issue of how much exposition do you do to flesh out that character
In as short, as little as possible.
as little as possible. So what I did was basically to flesh out Scar's character. I basically said that Boyle saved his life by giving him CPR.
Okay.
So that gives that expansion and that connection between the two of them.
Mhm.
it's not like writing a novel or a novella where you have the extra time and words
Space.
and the space to do the expansion. The other thing is, when you're writing procedurals, you have to go into enough detail, but not too much detail. And that's extremely hard to balance that load.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there are a few twists and turns that are coming to the story.
Well, I will tell you that as a publisher and listening to my editors who have read hundreds, if not thousands of stories by now.
Yeah.
It's not the exposition isn't too much exposition isn't the biggest thing that gets stories passed over, but it's up there. Too much exposition takes away from the story. It's a short story. You don't have time for it.
The other thing is, and it's an analogy I used with actually one of your editors, Lisa,
Okay.
the difference between a short story, a novella, and a novel. A short story is like a cartoon, 4 panels.
Mhm.
A novella is like a graphic novel.
Oh, good point.
A novel
Is
is
a
like
novel.
a fully fledged painting.
Very good.
It's those differences. And as a writer, you have to understand that. Well, Dawn.
Yeah, no kidding.
Some things you can kind of hand wave regardless of what you're writing.
With police procedurals, there's a lot of stuff you absolutely positively have to hand wave because
If you wrote one that was actually timelined out,
oh my God.
it would be 3 years for one case.
Well, remember that one jackass that how long did he spend in jail before the victim was killed and they dropped his case?
6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 years.
Never actually got to court.
Nope. Walt.
He kept firing his attorneys.
He would fire his attorneys the week before he was supposed to go to court.
He would fire them, and then they had to go through all over again. And in 6 years, the victim in the case was killed in a car accident. Yes, we checked; it was actually an accident.
Yeah.
And with no victim.
Yep. And he was one of our Muslim problem children.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
And no wig and no dress.
Muslim.
Yeah.
So more cheerful things.
More cheerful things.
I had cheerful things to talk about, and I've forgotten all of them.
Greenpeace got hit with a $660 million
Whoa!
case fine.
Booyah! Right at shovel hook right in the kidneys. That was glorious.
I think you found that cheerful.
Yeah.
Matter of fact,
Oh,
I
yes.
do. Matter of fact, I do.
Because that was the whole thing about Trump's first term was how they were going to protest everything.
Have fun,
And
guys.
now here in Trump's second term,
They're getting fine, lit up for it.
they're getting lit up for it. Yes.
Well, this was over the Dakota pipeline in the first
Yeah.
term, and of course they're going to appeal, but $665 million for a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Those little ass weasels are liable to have to file bankruptcy, and that makes me smile.
Yeah. And they'll
Reform it under a different name.
reform under a different name and go right back to the same shit.
Oh yeah.
One of the more interesting comments on that was a certain person who I will not name said, "Yep, they're basically watermelons. They're green on the outside, red on the inside."
Yeah, they're all socialists.
There are times when I wish we were as wicked as they were. Because then we just go shoot
No.
the bastards and it would be over with.
I'm a lot more wicked than they are.
Yeah.
No, you're not. Otherwise, you'd already shot some of the bastards openly.
I'm here to tell you that I no longer am bound by oaths to uphold the peace. And Rita is the only thing that keeps the oldie in from,
Showing out.
Well, the
that
only thing that keeps the old Sanford from showing out. Okay, there's two things. One is cedar.
Yeah.
And the others, I don't have the strength these days.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, youngster.
Yeah. Nature Conservancy is another one, and Earth First is the third one.
Sierra
Uh,
Club ain't exactly a bunch of.
They're
shining
all
lights.
watermelons.
Yeah.
Green echo weenies on the outside and socialists on the inside.
Yeah. It's a good point. The Teslas have cameras, yes.
Yes, they do. Everywhere.
Yeah. And all these people are getting caught on video.
Well, it's not just a Tesla's. Any place where you, other than, any place where you have a Tesla dealership,
They have cameras everywhere.
yeah, the streets are going to have cameras everywhere. These morons.
Well, we were talking about writing procedurals earlier, and one of the things that I have seen already is vastly changing law enforcement. Is half the time, 3/4 of the time, if they want to look for the perps, they can find video evidence of what was going on.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really hard to say, well, I wasn't there, when you're wearing the same clothes that you were wearing in
Yeah.
the video. That
Yeah.
happened in a court case recently.
Oh yeah. Well, there's some guy that this morning before I went, what the hell, and stopped scrolling through news,
Yeah.
Was caught on multiple, and by multiple, I mean more than 10 cameras, finger painting with poo, his own poo, all over a Tesla.
Yeah.
That one's going to go in front of the jury, and 12 good men true are going to watch this guy
Yeah.
take a dump in his own hand and smear it all over a Tesla.
And then claim he's an Earth Firster. And
Well, something. Okay, Tesla is green energy. We have to go to all electric cars now. This
Yeah.
is what they've been beating the drums for at
Oh,
least a decade.
And
Musk
now,
is giving them that.
now they're
Yeah.
burning electric cars.
We need better communications and communication for the poor people. Starlink and Musk is giving them that.
Yeah.
We need to do better we need to find another place to escape to, Mars or what places. Musk is doing that.
Yeah.
Everything the left wants, Musk is doing.
And up until this year, they were perfectly happy with that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not this year. It's been 2 or 3 years since he bought Twitter. And they went, he's going to make truth and all points of view available. No, you can't have that.
Yeah.
They started going down on him when he bought Twitter.
Tom, I do have a story about the NRDC. National Resource Defense Council are a bunch of lying cocksuckers.
My shocked face. Let me show you it.
I ran a test back in the 90s for the Navy, and we had their head lawyer, Joel Reynolds, come on the research vessel with us for 2 days. Observe the operation, and then in court lied to the judge, saying he was never allowed on the boat, had no idea what was going on, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cheeky.
Did he get caught on that bit of perjury?
Nope. Absolutely nothing was done to him.
Well, he's a DC insider. Nothing's going to be done.
You gonna survive there, Jim?
Got some caught in my throat.
Just hope you didn't throw your back further out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Climbing out of bed, and tweaked my back.
Yeah.
Used to be doing anything involving bed that threw out your back was generally fun. These days, I rolled over to get out of bed and threw my back.
When I was a kid, I hurt my back moving heavy weights, loading trucks,
Yeah. Step out for a
playing
minute.
football, wrestling, mountain climbing. I mean, that's the sort of things where I hurt my back when I was a kid. Now, it's trying to tie my shoes, trying to take my shoes off, trying to take my socks off or put them on,
Rolling out of bed.
sneezing. sitting up, lying down.
Yep.
I have actually thrown my back out lying down.
Yes. I actually tore a hip flexor rolling over to get out of bed. I tore a hip flexor. And I had no idea that so many things involve the use of your hip flexor.
You want to talk about shocking realization? You ever see somebody get hit in the butt, shot in the butt? The amount of things that your gluteus maximus is used for other than sitting on.
You haven't read one of my latest posts, have you?
One of the slapjack things, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I did. I just didn't think about.
For those of you who are somewhat puzzled by that comment, when I was a young man and newly made a peace officer, as young men will, I went out for some social activities. And to do so, I went to the Midnight Rodeo in Amarillo, Texas. Longtime Amarillo residents are doing the migraine salute right now. I understand that the Midnight Rodeo is now a church. I'm wondering how long it took before the baptismal font stopped bubbling and the crucifix stopped catching on fire.
To make a long story short, you went there and it got rodeo.
Midnight Rodeo was aptly named. And y'all keep your shocked faces to a minimum. I got there and got cross-threaded with another patron. I was leaving. He followed me out, and he was wanting to fight in the parking lot, and I didn't. Well, Box-Elpho County had a policy, very firm policy, about their deputies being armed and drinking, i.e. don't. No firearms if you're going to be drinking. So I had a can of punch and a pepper spray and a convoy blackjack, 8-ounce convoy blackjack, my belt. Well, he was dancing around and puffing up and doing the monkey dance. And when he finally started in, I hosed him down with half a can of punch. Ian does not recommend punch pepper spray. It's better than nothing, but get better pepper spray. I hosed him down and he coughed and blinked and cussed and came at me. I stepped to one side. I hit him on the deltoid with that slap or the blackjack. And I stepped in and I cranked one at a downward angle at the top of his cheek, his butt cheek. And I'm pretty sure I got the sciatic nerve, which is what I was aiming for. And he dropped like a sack of dead trout and squalled like a kicked pup for about 5 minutes. It was great. Saber Red or Palm? I have been exposed to, I think I have 8 company certifications for pepper sprays, including, yes, Fox Labs. I've been exposed to Fox Labs. Saber Red and Palm.
How do they compare to CS?
Much more effective. CS is crap.
Well, I know that because I used to be a
NBC and CO.
Yeah.
CS is crap. Don't get CS. Get peppers. Don't for God's sake, don't get the CS OC combination. I think Punch makes freeze. It's a combination CS and OC, and everybody thinks it's great. It's not. Don't just go straight pepper spray. Saber Red or Palm. Everybody, a whole bunch of folks, yay, Fox Labs. And Fox Labs, yes, they do have the strongest available formula if their quality control is good that day. Fox Labs does not have the best quality control on their stuff. Saber and Palm are the only 2 companies I personally know of that do in-house testing to make sure that the formulas they're putting in the cans are up to their specs. Other places will pull a sample every now and then and send it to a national certification, national lab. Saber Red or Palm, use those 2. POM Industries. Those are the only 2 I recommend. Hey, Bill.
Well, personally, if I really want to stop an attacker, I recommend not a pepper spray, but a pepper box. If you get all 8 barrels going off at the same time.
Yeah. Palm Industries, yes, for pepper spray. Saber Red, Saber and in particular the Saber Red formula and Palm are the only pepper sprays that I will recommend, because they're the only two that I know of that have in-house testing on their formulas. And also TC, they're also the only two I know of that will happily supply inert water training units, so you can teach yourself how to carry them. That was one of the things that, yes, you can order I've sent dozens of these things. Palm Industries will sell you a combo that's the actual spicy hate, and then a lemon scented water so you can train with it. Good stuff. Good stuff. I tend to, here in Texas, we're allowed to carry SAPs now, finally. And I carry SAPs as an adjunct to my pepper spray. A lot of pepper spray failures with good formula, with Saber Red or Palm, the failures are simply because pepper spray is possible to fight through. We teach hundreds, if not thousands, of corrections officers and jailers and peace officers every day how to fight the effects of pepper spray, and Marines and soldiers. With the explosion and pepper spray use in jails, a lot of critters are getting exposed to it. So you can fight through. And anybody can learn to fight through pepper spray. So pepper spray failures is generally somebody, it's affecting them. They just know how to fight through it. But because you can fight through it, doesn't mean it's not affecting your eyes and your nose. So even I don't care how much PCP you're on, a pepper spray will cause you to blink. And that gives you enough of an advantage that if you have a good legal sap or sapper or slapper, you spray a pepper spray, they jump, you smack 8 to 16 ounces of lead into a big muscle group, and generally speaking, they'll fuck off to Buffalo.
Let me kind of explain what's going on with me. I've got chronic sinusitis. Have had it for years. The joys of 20 plus years of flying in the military. I've been roto-rooted twice. And I still have scars in all my sinuses. What will occasionally happen is what just happened to me, where I started coughing. That and a combination of the mud ball from the friggin' dust the
No
other day.
kidding. I've been coughing up half of the Cap Rock.
Yeah. Cap Rock, New Mexico, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I cough a lot, because I'm trying to clear the crap that drains in the back of my sinuses, into my throat. As far as what's going on with my legs, it's not my legs, it's my back. I have 5 bulge disc in my lower back. I have a stress fracture of L5, and I have sciatic nerve pain to the point that usually I'm on a walker, because I simply am never sure whether or not my left leg is going to give out. So, yeah, 4 out of 5 doctors recommend breathing New Mexico to get all of your daily mineral needs. Yeah.
I still swear some of that was coming from Baja.
No kidding.
No, if it had been Baja, we'd all been hiring a kite.
You're on so many medications you'd never notice.
True. But they're good medications.
Mm.
That's the only way I'm moving, quite honestly. So, yeah, I'm basically fucked up. Still waiting on the VA to hear anything on what the next steps are, but it should be back surgery.
Oof.
Yeah. I'm just hoping it's not going to be a fusion like Peter has.
Yeah. Bill was saying earlier that Chuck Haggard's going to Meade Hall for OC instructor. Chuck Haggard is a fantastic instructor,
yes,
and all around good guy. if you can go take his OC class and do it, it's well worth the money. I might wander up there because I like Chuck, but I've got multiple OC certs already. I don't want to get sprayed again.
Yeah.
I've been sprayed. I've been exposed in training to 8 different that I know of. I have certificates for 8 different pepper sprays. I've been hit with Fox Labs, Saber, Def Tech, Mace, that crap from Cold Steel that was the black pepper and red pepper.
Oh yeah.
I got the Saber Green. Saber Green was a joke, by the way. Saber had a brief formulation that they instead of pepper they used wasabi, and it was supposed to be a new hotness.
Yeah, right.
Har in pepper sprays. And I got exposed to Saber Green. This stuff was a joke. Punch and Capstone, I think.
Palm was the other one.
No, I've never had an instructor for Palm.
No.
I've been
You didn't
exposed to
miss
it.
much.
No.
I keep expecting someday to someone come out with a sriracha line.
It's sriracha is just pepper. It's pepper.
And the Chilolo line, and
Yeah.
somebody else come out with Tabasco brand
Yeah.
pepper spray.
Oh no, pepper ball. Pepper ball.
Yeah.
Pepper ball was the 8th one. Pepper dust is nasty stuff, guys. Pepper dust sucks. No,
Yeah.
I don't care what the formulation it is. Pepper dust just fucking sucks.
And wash your hands after getting around it.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Frank's Buffalo Spray. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see it, quite honestly.
And of all of those pepper sprays, again, the only 2 that I will, if you're a friend of mine, I will recommend Saber Red or Palm. Don't get anything else. Yes, I know the Fox Labs is strongest stuff on the. I don't care.
If you're not a friend of his, he recommends Punch.
Punch. Airco products suck.
Well, the problem with them too is the fact that, at least in the Saber Red, you have a choice of a spray or a gel.
Or a cone.
I recommend the gel because I want it to stick to the son of a bitch, not to me. And you can buy the large economy size.
Well, yes. Gel has this for me, and this is all subjective. Gel has this place. If I were spending a lot of time in a hospital around folks with respiratory issues, I would carry. Yeah, I would carry the gel because I like stream. I like to reach out and hit somebody from 12 feet away. The gel I've been hit with the gel, and it does have a slap effect, which is a little startling.
Yeah.
And if you're in a nursing home or a hospital around anybody with people with respiratory issues, you might get the gel. Other than that, I like the stream.
Well, I like the gel because if I'm in a situation where I got to get out the large economy size, it'll reach out 12 feet.
Oh, the one you got to reach out 25 feet.
Yeah. And I want to be able to hit a crowd as I sweep across them. And I'll take the delay because by the time it starts acting, they're going to be moving.
And if you're using that, I'm going to be moving before any of them, because if there's enough that you're bringing out the large economy size I'm going someplace else.
Well, I always have it in my vehicle when I go to Dallas or Austin or anywhere else.
That makes sense. That couple of anti-tank rounds.
There are there's people that swear by cone, which is a fog.
Yeah.
I swear at cone.
Because it blows back at you.
If you're in a building, cone is, if you want to spread the spicy hate everywhere, cone will do it. We used to, when we would go into the jail, we always tell when they'd had an issue, because a lot of the jailers like the cone because they could hit one moron and the entire housing unit would be gacking and coughing. I'm not a big fan of cone, not outdoors. Outdoors, it'll go about 6 inches and blow back in your face because we have 30 knot winds.
Yeah, as Bill says, cone sucks in North Texas and Oklahoma. Yes, very much so.
If you're indoors, good stuff. Get the spray or get the stream.
It depends on which way the wind's blowing.
I don't care.
If the wind's blowing with you, just throw the whole can in the
Well, the problem is that 99% of the time, The wind is going to be blowing at you, not away from you if you need the shit.
Ian, DeSantis City Slicker A94 coin purse opinion. You obviously have read my my 4 articles on blackjacks. I'm guessing that's going to be one of these cute little not blackjacks.
Yeah, it is.
A kosh that takes coins.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, in the article, one of the articles I wrote, I expressed my issues with saps that didn't have a shank. Those don't have a shank. And what happens is something breaks, and you happily sprinkle the crowd with whatever your load is. And then you're sitting here with a limp tube, wondering about your choices in life. No guy likes a limp tube. So, in the places where they don't like saps, and you absolutely positively have to have a sap, sure, why not?
Like differs. Happy Little Red Peppers in the Asian food, vinegar and coffee grounds in a spray bottle is technically seasoning, but it kills black widows with a quickness. That's good. Yes, Andy, the wind axiom is like campfire smoke. It's always going to be in your face.
Yeah. We had one of the things that I will carry cone the spray in is my Asp Cube Defender.
Yeah.
Now, used to be when I was still talking to Matthew Patterson, who was the area rep for Sabre, he happily informed me that Sabre actually made the inserts for the key defenders, which made me extremely happy. But it's definitely a cone rather than a stream. And what I'll do is I'll hit the button and then back up, and I'll just put an entire wall that they have to get through. But it also comes back in my face. But when we first took the ASP training on the key defenders, my smart ass chief deputy, who was much man, decided that to show how much man he was by spraying his pepper spray from his newly issued key defender into his burrito in Abuela's in Amarillo, and cleared out Abuela's.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go back there for months.
Yeah. Yeah, you talk about how effective is it. I did some ride-alongs up in Virginia with a friend of mine who was the chief deputy for the sheriff's department up there. And there was a particular area of Alexandria that was notorious, shall we say, for problems. And we were doing, ride along one Friday night and start hearing the music get cranked up. And it's like, oh, it's going to be one of those nights. And he reaches down and grabs a large can of Sabre Red cone. And he stops the car and he gets out.
I'm checking one direction.
Shit, got to circle the block. So we circle the block and we get on the far side. This is an undercover car. Get on the far side of the quad where all the noise is coming from. And he says, here, just roll the window down, reach up and spray that about 3 seconds worth. So I roll the window down, spray it 1, 2, 3. Okay. About 10 minutes later, we come back by. There is not a sound anywhere.
It is quiet.
It is dead quiet. And I looked at him and he said, that's called preventive gassing.
Ian, tear gas versus pepper spray comparison. Tear gas sucks. Get pepper spray. And don't get the CSOC, the tear gas pepper spray mixture. Don't. Just get straight pepper spray. Get Sabre Red. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Tear gas. There are multiple issues with tear gas, not the least of which is anybody, if you've been exposed to it often enough, it simply doesn't affect you anymore. Sanford can speak to this, probably Jim. I can.
Yeah.
When I would help with the NBC NCO in the Army, and we'd gas the poor devils on protective mask training every year, it got to where I would stand there in the tent with snot hanging out of my knees and perfectly okay.
Why did you have? I'm trying to figure out why you had, because I'm standing there in the shack and going, okay, everybody take your mask off and recite your ABCs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or whatever it was for that particular. And 2-3 seconds later, the herd goes past me.
Yeah.
Then I pick up the masks and whatever else has got dropped.
Yeah.
Walk on out.
Yeah, Tom, it is good for clearing out sinus
Oh,
infections.
actually, it's not down your knees.
Yeah.
But as far as stopping me from fighting, no.
Oh, Tiff, that is great news.
Oh, fantastic, Tiff. OC, I can fight through it, but it's hard to see. It's hard to breathe.
Yeah.
Now, I will still put a whooping on your butt. I have proved it multiple times, but even if you don't feel the pain, it still slams your eyes shut, and you have to blink to clear it. And if you're blinking, you're missing movements.
Yep.
It still shuts down a lot of your deep breathing. So,
Oh, by the way, when I was talking about being immune to CS, that was half a century ago, folks. I ain't going to claim I'm immune now.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
but it's and quite honestly, you're supposed to spray their chest with the CS. If you actually go to the class like I did, you're supposed to spray their chest and wait for it to waft up.
Yeah.
Nope, right across the eyes.
Well, and it really doesn't do any good.
I don't like it. I don't like CS. It's a pain in the ass.
CS, tear gas, some foreign countries, Korea, developed a mixture of CS and puke.
Yeah.
Uh,
The puke gas.
puke gas.
Now that one, whoo,
That one will clear out anybody and everybody.
keep that away from me.
Yeah.
Don't. I get a whiff of puke gas, and
Who was it that had the launcher for the gas CS? Looked an awful lot like a big shotgun to shoot the CS can.
everybody. Def Tech has one. Erico has one. It's a 37 millimeter grenade launcher.
Well,
Yeah.
But there was one that I remember got in a lot of trouble back in the.
Oh, that was the 5-shot launcher from England.
Yeah.
I freaking
Yeah.
love that thing. R137, I think, but don't quote me on that. It was a revolver, had 37 millimeter. It was great.
Something about you're not supposed to actually shoot the people with canisters was what I remember.
I beg to disagree. There was this. There's a city, Phoenix, Arizona. I love Phoenix PD. I really do. Phoenix PD, those guys, damn. But there's this beautiful shot of this. It's during one of the riots, I think 2020, and Phoenix PD is not playing around.
Yeah.
So you've got this Antifa wannabe. He's got his red bandana, and you see this CS grenade come rolling in, and he kicks it back, and then in slow motion you can see about 5 pepper balls.
Yeah.
At 330 feet per second impact his giggly bits.
Yep.
And he drops like a sack of dead trout and lays there groaning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, and I'll guarantee you that who was behind that pepper ball launcher went, sorry. 5 shots right in the twig and berries. It was glorious.
And if you want even more fun, put them in the freezer before you take them out
Oh.
and use them.
Like paintballs.
CS grenade directly to the nuts. Yeah.
No, I've seen. I did an after action report on it. It's the CS grenade comes in, and I forget if he kicked it or threw it back, and then you can see the pepper. Very distinctive hits from pepper balls. Whap, 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 whap.
What Sir Brass is talking about is a different one. That was the one down in Austin
Oh yeah.
where the guy got the CS grenade in the nuts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's Texas DPS.
Yeah.
Again, don't mess with them. There was a pepper ball weighted with bismuth. You're thinking of the FN 303.
Yeah.
I love those things. Probably shouldn't be allowed to have one.
No, Sir Brass, you're wrong. It was Austin. Phoenix was the pepper balls.
It was Pepper Ball Corporation. I know the launcher and everything, and it was 5. It's either 4 or 5 rounds directly into the happy bits. But
Hey, John, welcome. Glad to see you're back in the world.
woohoo! Welcome back to basic, mostly sanity.
Yeah.
Sort of sanity. Yeah.
This discussion about pepper sprays and such and non-lethal weaponry. I have been seeing occasionally now ads for an attachment to put on the front of your pistol that makes it shoot
Oh, that dumb thing.
basically beanbags.
Oh, that dumb thing. Oh,
That's yeah.
And my thought is, why would you take a lethal weapon and make it less than lethal? If I need to
The
use,
thing is, it doesn't make it less than lethal.
well, whether it does or not, it makes it less comfortable. I'm less sure it's lethal.
For those of you wondering, some bright spark, probably in a big city if I was guessing, invented this little thing, and it's basically a bullet trap that fits over the muzzle of your pistol. It's got I think a bismuth weight in it.
Yeah.
And you fire a standard hollow point into it, it catches a hollow point and then shoots off the barrel and impacts your whatever poor schmuck you're aiming at.
Yeah.
Don't.
And that means you've got to shoot twice in order to get one hit.
I just don't. That's such a stupid idea.
Yeah, Tom was mentioning earlier crowd control in Serbia. They suspected it was a directed sonic energy weapon. Yes, it was. That's an interesting program. What it is basically a noisemaker. But what it does is, depending on the pitch that you choose, it can literally vibrate your thoracic cavity.
Boo.
Now, you want to talk about something that's going to scare the fuck out of you.
Oh, yeah.
When your chest starts vibrating, trust me, folks, you're going to turn around and run.
Not at a rock concert.
Yeah. Oh, this is well beyond rock concert.
It's deliberately set to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The ones, the bullet trap.
Yes, John,
less
they were
lethal.
being built for Navy ships, because that was going to be the non-lethal method of preventing piracy and or boarding. You could also dial up the frequency to a sonic point where you would swear your eardrums were going to rupture.
Oh, I'll bet.
And
Probably would in some cases.
oh yeah, it could be, if you turn it up to 9 instead of 6.
Ian with a slapjack or something that's going to vibrate your thoracic cavity. Your choice. Personally, I think most people take Ian with a slapjack.
Well, I thought the best non-lethal anti-boarding weapon was a cutlass.
What is this non-lethal? There
Yeah.
are rules. There are very, very, very old, I'm talking century-old rules about what can and cannot be done at sea.
Yep.
And I understand why the pirates are not getting hung.
On the spot.
The Russians did.
Yeah.
I mean, perfectly legal, by the way.
Perfectly legitimate and
Yeah.
perfectly reasonable.
What they did was they rejected the pirates, sent them back to their little launch platform, and then blew the launch platform up.
Yeah.
There has not been a Russian ship even attempted to be looked at by pirates since then.
Isn't there a frequency that makes you shit yourself? Yes, it's called brown note. There's also a frequency, and this one's wicked. There's I forget what the hertz. I used to know the hertz number that activates something that gives you terror. It gives you it's a note you can't hear that causes unreasoning terror.
Yeah, it's a low frequency.
It's very low frequency, like five.
I know what it
hertz
is,
or
and I'm not
something.
going to say it.
Yeah, I think it's 5 hertz or something. And I'm here to tell you, woo, that's for somebody who's never actually been scared.
Yeah.
To all of a sudden be unreasonably terrified for no reason whatsoever. Just, yeah, that one. That one, do not like.
Yeah, Dan, some of those metal albums had those frequencies in them. The yeah, Jesse, there are certain frequencies that make people react certain ways.
This was it was at it was in a museum.
Yeah.
And you go in this room and they would,
Bombard you with sound.
it
And
just, would you like to experience, this sound causes terror. 21-year-old Ian went, oh, bullshit.
Yeah.
And 21-year-old Ian found out different.
One of the things you've got to understand, folks, is that the human body reacts to certain frequencies, either intentionally or unintentionally. One of the reasons, and I'm going to use a car analogy because that I can talk about. One of the reasons is that if you have ever ridden in a Cadillac or a Buick, it seems smoother and quieter than a Ford or a Chrysler or any other manufacturer.
I like the seams part.
Well, it's because the resonant frequency of the vehicle is 35 hertz. At 35 hertz gives you a sense that everything is in balance.
Hmm.
Now, if you take it up that frequency, let's say to 55 hertz, you can feel a vibration in your thoracic cavity. We have had some rather interesting, shall we say, discussions in various science projects about resonant frequencies on the human body, especially for divers. Yeah, it differs. Yeah.
ASMR, if Rita's doing it, is very calming.
Yeah.
If it's some random female on the internet, I get cranky for no good reason.
ASMR.
I don't know. It's basically soft, soft noises, mostly soft women's voices.
Yeah.
Huh.
And if Rita's doing it, Rita will do it when I'm twitchy, and it works a treat. Random women do it, and it sets my teeth on it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Because you don't trust them. You trust Rita.
Well, Rita's voice is lower than most women.
Yeah.
That's another part of it. But the thing about 55 hertz, we have certain sound sources in the ocean that travel long distances. One in particular is a 50 hertz tone that travels from Peru all the way up to Southern California. And that tone is basically a geologic sound. It is generated by a deep vent off of Peru. So it's an intermittent 55 hertz tone. When it hits the coast of California, sound tends to travel in an upward path. Divers have complained about that 55 hertz tone off California.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because they could feel it in their chest. They didn't know where it was coming from. So the Navy got accused of doing it on purpose, saying this was sonar and they were testing how to kill divers. True story.
Yeah,
Oh.
sonar kill divers.
Yeah. Well, we had actually found out what the noise was back in the 70s because we were doing testing with deep sonobuoys, specially manufactured sonobuoys. And we got points that kept pointing south. And they finally sent a crew that was on a Unitas bouncing down the west coast of Central America, South America, until they found this thing. And it's down about 6,000 feet off Peru. And it's a geologic vent. It's basically a vent, and it flutters at 55 hertz. But we also, in one particular instance, got an indicator of something else at 50 hertz, and it pointed northwest. So we started tracking it, and we went out a number of miles and never got a bearing reversal. A flight out of Alaska happened to be on station, and we're tracking a certain source. And lo and behold, it was getting down in the deep sound channel and coming all the way down to Southern California.
Oh, wow.
So we were getting a very quiet sound that was traveling over 1,000 miles.
Speaking of ASMR, there is a subset of ASMR. If you want to see my little lady go flat friggin' berserk, if you want to see her grab a battle axe and go
Yeah.
to work, there's a subset of ASMR called I think it's mukbang, something like that. It's people eating.
Yeah.
And this is apparently very popular on YouTube. Every once in a while, one of the shorts will pop up on her phone. And if you want to watch that little thing go absolutely berserk, somebody slurping over his Asian stuff will just take the phone away.
Yes, Nancy, the deep sea hydrothermal vents are wild. They are also potential power sources.
Everything's a power source.
Yeah.
If it has energy in it, it's a potential power source.
I actually sitting here. You talk about the one with 55 hertz.
Yeah.
Think about wonder what would happen if you dropped a rather large bomb, not in fusion or fission, but a rather large bomb down it and rearrange the geography a little bit.
The Peruvians might have a comment or two about that.
Well, we don't tell them it was us.
It's not that far off
It
the
was
coast.
the Russians.
Yes, geothermal has some very interesting possibilities.
We blame it on the Chinese. They're more trouble than the Russians are now.
There is a company out of Hawaii that is looking very hard at geothermal off Hawaii because basically the Hawaiian Islands are nothing more than the tops of volcanoes, some of which are still active. It's called the Pacific Rim. And
Just out of curiosity,
Kaiju stops snoring and climbs out. Yeah.
no, isn't off the coast of Peru where the city that Thulu sleeps in is?
Yeah.
Dead Relaya.
But they did send a research crew down there from an organization. And they found stuff living in the geothermal vent at 7,000 feet.
Oh,
down.
yeah.
By the way, I just realized what that 55 hertz vent he's talking about. That's Cthulhu storing.
Yeah.
There's at Chernobyl, they found a fungus that's living right next to the elephant's foot, the actual pile, and it's eating radiation.
Yeah.
This is how the world ends, but just that's
Well,
5 points.
The other thing that, and again, the ocean, the great so-called plastic reef that's formed in the Pacific. There are microorganisms that are eating the plastic.
Oh yeah. This is not. I'm not surprised. Apparently, everybody else is, but I'm not surprised.
Well, I would assume that there are microorganisms in the bottom of the Gulf eating the tar balls from whatever.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No, but as the man said in Jurassic Park, life finds a way.
Yes, it does, and that's what people tend to forget. 85% of the world is covered in water. We know maybe 5%.
We know more. We know more about the
moon than we know about
the universe outside of our solar system than we do about what's at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Well, that's as long as it keeps it that way. I don't need no evidence popping up.
Well, I'm just waiting for the Trump White House to release the files that said that the reason we have NASA is we found what was at the bottom of the ocean. Now we want the hell off the planet.
Yeah, they've known about the oil-eating algae for a long time. It does take too long, but it's a natural function. If you think about it, oil seeps did not start with the discovery of oil.
Oh no,
They've been
How
around.
They discovered oil was oil seeps.
Yeah. And that algae has been around for millions of years.
La Brea tar pits.
Yeah.
That's the tar pits are an oil seep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moon's haunted. What? Yeah. Moon's haunted. Be right back.
Yeah. New Quarter Road Warrior brings up at spent fuel storage pool, we had algae growing on the fuel elements. Yes.
Life finds a way.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheerful things. Okay. John Van Stry's book is going great gangbusters. Y'all should buy it.
Yes, it is an excellent book. Having had the pleasure of beta reading that, it's a
really good book. Some people, there's some confusion going. It's 3 parts. in serialized.
Yeah.
And then we'll take those 3 parts down and we'll release the complete novel in ebook and Dead Tree format. There's not a 4th part, guys. There's some really confused folks out there.
Sir Brass, I'll make it even more interesting. Harder to make vehicles that can survive the bottom of the ocean than they can traverse space. The first ROV ever was designed by Scripps out of San Diego. And it was made mostly out of space hardware. And it sits today in the back of the storage building at Scripps with a sign on it and a cup in its claw saying, please donate here.
At the end of the 3rd part, it still has a note about the next part coming out in a week. Son of a bitch. Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks, AJ. I'll talk to Cedar.
Yeah. Yeah, differs. Any day you can see the sky instead of the sepia tones, that's a good day. Hey, SS Vorpal
Next part
Blade.
coming out. Okay.
Oh,
that
y'all are
explains
on
a
a
lot.
roll today.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. Nobody's perfect, folks.
We're learning. We're still
Yeah.
learning.
This is their first time doing this.
Yeah, this is our first ever novel, guys. That's
Yeah, one atmosphere negative is a lot easier to deal with than umpteen positive.
when Chris and I were into scuba diving. It's amazing how much pressure. Yeah,
30 feet.
33 feet.
Yep.
Every 33 feet, you get that. If I remember right, and it's been a while. Every 33 feet has an extra atmosphere,
Yep.
and that piles on quick.
Hurl did Hawaii Undersea Research Lab has a ROV and a Bathy, and they kept trying to get a good demonstration of how much compression factor there was at depth, because they've got one that can go down 10,000 feet, and they were trying with styrofoam cups, but it kept blowing out of the cage. So they finally put a 20-ounce cup in a cage that was small enough that it, still water could get in, but it couldn't fall out. When they came back to the surface, that 20-ounce cup was about that high and about that big around.
Does it still look like a cup?
Still looked like a cup, but it never regained its size and shape.
Crushes the thing.
It crushes the thing, yes.
I wouldn't have been a bit surprised if you came back as a little ball,
Now it'll actually crush down to size, but it retained the shape.
Chris and I got PADI certified, Professional Association Dive Instructors, and scuba diving is fun, guys. It really is. We got PADI trained, and the instructors did a lot of stuff with balloons and cups and cans.
Yeah.
Really interesting, even in a pool, even a swimming pool, very interesting.
Yeah. I wonder how far I'd have to go down to where I was height weight proportionate.
Pressure will equal inside and out, so it wouldn't crush into a ball. That is correct, Bill.
Mead Hall, the pressure, it's the pressure inside the cells of the styrofoam.
Yeah.
That crush it down.
Which actually led to the development of a different type of styrofoam.
Same thing with neoprene.
Yeah.
Neoprene, the cells inside the neoprene will crush under pressure.
Yep.
You can get anything to crush from pressure.
Oh, yeah.
There was shrinkage.
That's why there's a YouTube channel strictly devoted to putting things in a hydraulic press and putting pressure on them.
Smash them flat.
It's interesting to watch, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bill, the inside and outside pressures have to equalize.
So it doesn't deform. Yeah.
The other thing that you got to think about, too, is nitrogen narcosis when you go to depth. That's why if you're a trained diver, you have to have stages where
Decompression
you
stages.
decompress for 10 to 20 minutes or longer.
That's the primary reason why Chris and I never got our technical diving certs.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to have to fuck around with decompression stops.
Coffee, yes. No, the bends is not something you want. We had to haul 2 Spetsnaz, this was many years ago, who had been on a dive off the Seychelles. And the recompression chamber was broke.
Ooh.
So we had to fly them to Cape Town, South Africa.
And that's the thing about it. And one of the things that they hammered into our heads was airplane bends.
Yep.
You can be perfect. You can go down, do some diving, be perfectly fine. If you get on an airplane too quick and go up to a certain altitude, you'll get the bends in the airplane after diving.
Anything over 10,000 feet.
Whew.
Yeah. The other thing that you see is you get some really, really weird circumstances. We've wasted another hour of your time, folks.
Holy crap, we have.
Yeah.
I have to go see the tax person today.
Yeah. Yeah. No flying after diving.
Not for 48 hours.
Hush. We used to dive and then get on the airplane and go back to where we were supposed to be.
Oh, I know. Trust me, I know.
That's how I got to dive Truck Lagoon.
I would love to dive truck. Truck is shallow. Most of it's shallow enough. It's
Like
within-
being in a bathtub. Water
within my
temp was
wheelhouse.
86 degrees.
in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And I'm going next door. My tax person is 2 doors down.
Yes, diving truck is very creepy because of the boats and what's on the bottom. Well, y'all take care of yourselves. Have a good weekend if you can. And Tiff, that's great news.
Outstanding, Tiffany. Very good.
Remember, folks, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff. And we'll see you next week.
Y'all be safe.
Bye-bye.
Off.